Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode. I'm so excited to have you here. I want to talk to you about something that I've been playing around with, and it's blowing my mind just like everybody else's. But I want to talk to you about how to use ChatGPT and AI for your career change, for your career search, for your career development, whatever you want in your career. Now, we're going to talk about this in detail, and I'm going to give you guys some kind of specific things that you can do, but I want to address the elephant in the room, and I know the comments I'm going to get, so I want to address that first before we kind of jump in. I know that there's a lot of talk online about the environmental effects of AI, and so a lot of people, obviously there's a lot of concern about AI, one being that it's going to get rid of the human race, but we're not going to deal with all of that. One of the things I do want to deal with, because I did think it too, was there's a lot of information going around about how the environmental impact of using AI. And a lot of it is based on the water usage, that is water that's used to cool kind of these servers that are needed in order to run these AI tools. And here's the thing I want to say about that. I'm not saying it's not technically true. It is. And I think that there is a larger conversation that we do need to be having constantly about climate change and about our own emissions and our own contribution and what humans and specifically countries and businesses can do to stop that. And I think that that place for that really is the government in setting regulations, which really there's not that much hope in our government right now. But I do think that it has to be on a much grander scale. Not to say that we can't do our part. We can, and I don't mean to say that we shouldn't. But one of the fascinating things for me, and it was really fascinating when I started seeing this discourse, is how quickly certain ideas gain traction online that tend to be very black and white and tend not to see the nuance or the irony sometimes in these ideas being shared. And I say that because I kept thinking myself when I saw this, I was glad to be informed of like what it might take to run these servers, but I kept thinking, but people are sharing these graphics on social media. Do they know that social media, all of these accounts that we're on for hours a day also require servers, right? I remember just kind of being confused by that. Like, yes, there is this issue, but then why don't you have an issue with Instagram or TikTok where the processing power that needs for all the videos that we watch, all these reels, they require servers. And the more I started looking into it, the more I started realizing it is very random in the sense of the focus on AI. Again, I do think it's because we worry about the scale of it and how much it, how it's so rapidly growing and we don't know the effects that it can have. But I just say this to say there is a ton of concern about everything we do, right? Not just AI, but cloud servers use probably the most water to, they have the biggest servers and Google requires, I think, and I don't even know how many billions of gallons of water in order to cool those servers. So everything you put on the cloud, all your photos, all the stuff you're using your email, that also requires it. Netflix, streaming things in 4K or whatever the latest streaming high definition content that you need requires an obscene amount of processing power. Right? So you rewatching that season that you've watched of something else requires I don't even know what the thing is, but way more than I don't know, it was thousands of AI searches. Now, I'm not saying that to shame you to not watch Netflix. I just think that this kind of selective outrage is fascinating, where it's we look at one thing and then it becomes the scapegoat and we can feel good about ourselves. We can feel sort of moral to say oh, I wouldn't ever touch that. Or why are you, or we go after, I see people now online, if somebody talks about AI, it's how could you recommend this? This has this environmental effect. And I always think but you're typing this on Instagram. What do you think is processing this? Right. And so I just say that. And then that's, even beyond talking about how other industries like fast fashion, which a lot of us still kind of engage in, whether it's Temu or Amazon or, Shan or whatever, and that the resources that uses in those industries, we tend to ignore certain things, and we have collective outrage because it's sort of fueled online. It's sort of fueled like certain ideas just take hold. And so I'm not saying that means that we get to wash our hands of all of it and say, well, everything else is using it, so I might as well use this too. I do think that you have to utilize things the way that feels good to you. And if you want to boycott something, or if you don't want to add to that impact, fine. I know for me, like when I look at these things, and I look at like how ubiquitous it is in the culture, and how, even now when you do a Google search, like it gives you an AI answer, and how much it's becoming a part of our culture. It's something that I have chosen to utilize and to learn about and to try to like keep ahead of, or not ahead of because it goes so fast, but just to like understand better. I understand if that's not for everybody, and that's okay. You don't have to utilize it. But I think, again, when I look at sort of my harm, quote unquote, to the society, it's everywhere. It's in everything I do. It's in the, maybe the car that you drive, and the electricity that we use, and, the pool that I have, and all the stuff I do with social media and the fashion. And I have to, reconcile that, and I have to decide like what I am willing to do. And there is some things that I'm willing to like reduce or to boycott or whatnot. But I do think, again, in my personal opinion, I feel like we do this where we shame people or we shame individuals instead of holding companies accountable for the scale at which they add to these things. So I know this wasn't even supposed to be a topic about the environmental effects of AI, but I just want to address it because I know inevitably I'm going to get a comment like that. And so I just want to like tell you, like, this is where I kind of came from to decide that I was going to be okay with using AI for my business or in the capacity that I can right now. And if you're not okay with that, that's okay. But if you are, and that you want to practice or dabble with it a little bit, I think that it has been mind-blowing for me. It has been really fascinating to think about not only how much easier it can make, but in what ways I could utilize it. So I think a lot of times when we aren't used to it, we utilize it sort of in the very basic rudimentary way. So, you might understand that like, yeah, AI can help me rewrite my resume. Like I could put my resume in and it can clean it up, or it can give me some pointers about what it's missing, or it can, better articulate what my skills are. That's a great way of using it. But I think there's so much more beyond that you can use. One of the things that I know has been hardest for the people that I work with or the people that I help is it's really difficult to know what you're looking for if you don't know what you want. And so for a lot of people that feel stuck and they don't know what they want to do next in their career, one of the hardest parts is just deciding like what that might be. And one of the hardest parts in that is knowing what is out there. There's so many jobs, there's so many things that you could do, and you don't know what you don't know. And so it very quickly can lead to an overwhelming feeling that you feel like there's just, a million different avenues I could take, and I don't even know what's out there. So I sort of get shut down, and I don't like, it seems like it's like a pointless going down a rabbit hole of these searches on Google. And sometimes it is because I don't even know what I'm searching for. And one of the things that I have found with AI that is the most helpful is giving you a starting point and helping you brainstorm. And I think a lot of times it can basically call answers for you that you didn't even know were there. And so one of the ways that I've been, encouraging people in my community to use it, and I've been sort of playing around with it, and I've been doing it for myself in other areas, is really seeing like what might be out there that fits me. And so one way you could do this is figuring out like, okay, these are the skills I have. So I have my resume. I can upload that to ChatGPT. So it knows my background and my skills and what I've worked on. And I know that these are the things that I like and I don't like. So this might mean like you might have taken, a strengths finder test, or maybe a personality test that you've taken, or maybe you've done like some of these career assessments where you really sit down and think about your values. If you haven't done that, you can even ask AI to give you some first exercises in order to kind of figure out what kind of work environment, what kind of work would be most fulfilling to you. But let's say you have done that and you have a set of values, or you have a set of deal breakers, or you have certain things where you're like, I don't know a job title, but I know that like I cannot work alone. Like I want to work with people. I don't want to work behind a computer all day. I like to work on, big picture stuff. I'm not very detail oriented. I feel really fulfilled when I'm helping people. X, Y, and Z. Like you have kind of a list of things that you're sort of looking for, but you don't have an actual job title. One of the like really cool things that you can do is put all that into AI. So you put in your values, you put in the things that you're looking for. You can just put in your brainstorms, like whatever you've brainstormed on a Google Doc. You can put in, and you can put in your resumes for your skills and your education and whatnot, or you can put a link into your LinkedIn or whatever you have. And then you could ask AI to say like, okay, I want you to act as a career coach or a recruiter for me. And I want you to look at what I have done, what my skills are in. And I want you to brainstorm 20 different industries that I could transition into or that I might enjoy based on these skills and values and, things that I have. And you can put parameters. You can put constraints. Like it has to make X amount. It has to be no less than $100,000 a year. It has to be in this area. It has to be in person. Like you can give it the constraints that you want to give it. And the thing is that it's not that it may not pop out one answer, right? It may not give you something where you're like, oh my God, this is like, it's, rewriting my resume. It's not like that. But it will give you a starting point. It will start getting you to be able to think of things that you likely haven't thought about because you didn't even know it existed. And a lot of the best use that I have found for ChatGPT or for AI for me is a very like iterative process. It's like a conversation. So it's not as though it's like, hey, give me this content. Like I want you to, write an Instagram post for me. And then it gives me something perfect. It's more of like back and forth. Like, okay, now of these brainstorms, like maybe there's a couple that I highlight and I say like, these are really interesting to me. How do people typically get into this job? Or can you tell me more about these types of jobs? Or is there other jobs that are close to this that, whatnot? Or do you need an advanced degree? And it sort of becomes like this conversation. And the more I drill down, the more effective the answers tend to be. But I know for me, the way that my brain works, it's very hard for me to get started often on something. It's hard for me to sort of visualize what is, I don't know what the topic might be, or to outline it in a specific way or a detailed way. And AI is really good at that. So I think like for me, like you can even talk to it, right? There's like the voice function. And so I can just sort of brain dump what I'm thinking. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm stuck with this problem. I have this and this and this. These are the things that I'm working with. This is the skills that I have. Can you help me sort of clean this up and give me like a detailed step-by-step approach that you would take to maybe finding careers, right? And then you can even like take it one step further. Like, okay, if these are the types of careers I want, how would I get into that? Where are these types of jobs posted? What kind of job boards? So that you're not just looking on Indeed, right? It'll start kind of niching down. Like if you want to be in this industry, where are the best places to network? Who are the best type of people to try to network? Who should I look, reach out to? And then it can help you. Like, hey, can you find me like the top 20 people with this job title on LinkedIn that are in the Los Angeles area? And give me their emails, right? And it'll do that for you. And then you go in and you individually email those people. So you're not a robot, and you reach out and maybe ask for an informational interview, or you look at their job, their companies, and see if they're hiring or whatever. You take it from there. But you get what I'm saying. I think that it can help you find different industries. It can help you see what kind of jobs are within those industries, what kind of jobs are really a fit for your own skills and values, what steps to network in that type of an industry, in that type of a community. Where are these types of, like, it'll help you find those. Like, I think a lot of people, I know I've done a couple episodes on community, and a lot of people are constantly asking me, like, where can they find those communities? You can ask AI, and it will give you like a good breakdown of like, where are the 10 places where, if I want to get into community with creative, like with, I don't know, graphic designers, like where is the best place? Some of it's online. What are the best communities in person for graphic designers that I want to get involved in, right? Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because it will basically call the internet and tell you exactly what you need to know. But I have been really thinking, about how this can help people when you are in this ideation stage, when it's not just like, okay, of course it can help when you want to write a resume or a cover letter. Like, we all kind of get that. But really from this place of like, can you help me explore my own ideas? Can you help me really think about it? Or can you even like, you can use it, like I said, as a career coach, where you can kind of ask questions of like, these are the values I have. These are the skills I have, but I have a really hard time thinking about how this could be a job, how this could be a career. Can you kind of give me some examples of what type of careers use these types of skills? What type of careers do you think that I would be really good at, based on these examples? It may not even be the ones you want, but at least it'll start helping you ideate. It'll start helping you understand what's out there, what else could be out there, right? So that's the main way that I want you to think about it. I want you to think about how do I use this as a sort of a partner to deeper thinking? How do I drill deeper and basically get myself to sort of even uncover? Like, I think for a lot of us, when we feel confused, you can use this as a partner to help you find a little bit more clarity, to help you have it ask more questions. You can tell it, like, I want you to keep asking questions until I get some clarity around this topic. Okay. This is what I'm confused about. And then it will keep asking you questions until you will kind of lead it. You will say, no, like, that's not really what I want to talk about, or like, that's not really a problem, but this is where I'm really confused about. And so I think when you partner with it, it can absolutely help you get a deeper understanding of what the issue is. It can help you find clarity. It can give you ideas. It can jumpstart your own ideas. So then you might have like 10 different things to research, but you just didn't know where to start from. So that's how I would use it. That's how I am using it. The one thing I will say is that one of the things that I have learned, I've now been in a couple AI communities and just from playing with it myself, is that you want to give it a detailed prompt. So I think that the place that people go wrong is they do something very short, very generic, where it'll say like, help me find the industry that, would use these skills best. You can do that. But I think that when you give it, the more detail you give it, the better response you're going to get. So a lot of times I try to think about like, what do I want this AI to act like, right? Like, I want to, like I said, like, maybe I want to work with a, top recruiter or a top career coach in this industry. Like, if I got to talk to a top recruiter in tech, for women in tech, because that's the industry I want to go into. Like, that's what I'm going to tell AI. Like, act like you are the top recruiter for women in tech, in software development or whatnot. You are used to helping women get high paying positions at Fortune 500 companies. Like, you sort of want to decide like, what is it that you want this machine to act as for you. And then you can give it really detailed instructions too, right? You can say like, what I want you to do is, brainstorm 10 different careers. Make sure that for every career, the salary is more than X, that I don't need an advanced degree, or maybe, list whatever advanced degrees I would need. I want you to give me like 3 examples of people that are in those careers and the trajectory that they took. Like, the more you tell it, the more it will give you those answers, and you will get more out of that interaction, as opposed to just saying like, what are some careers that I got out, that I could use with my skills. It's going to give you like 10 generic careers, and you're going to be like, okay, right? And I think a lot of people use it and think in that way, but I think that the more that it's like the more input it gets, the better the output is. And this requires a little bit of like fine tuning. It requires a little bit of finessing and trying. And so you sort of have to play with it a little bit. But it has been mind blowing. It's mind blowing for me. I think that it fundamentally has like shifted how I approach my work, because it makes the starting point so much easier for me to kind of get an understanding of like where I want to start. And it gives me all these ideas that then I take and then I refine, or that I expand on, or I figure out like, 3 of them I don't like, but I'm going to expand on this. And I use it as a accountability partner, kind of as like a mastermind partner, to help me go deeper with the topics I want to talk about, with how I want to help people. And And I think that a lot of you all who feel stuck can use it for that, can use it to kind of get you started, to get you those ideas, to get you going. And then if you do know, like, so it's not just for those people. If you do know what you want to do, let's say like you're a lawyer and you want to be a floral designer, let's just say, you can absolutely use it to say like, this is what I'm doing right now and I want to do this. Give me a breakdown of what are all the steps I would need to do in order to do that. And then within that breakdown, then you can ask him more questions, like go in depth about this step. What would I need to do to create, like whatever is that portfolio or whatnot? Like, what is the best way for me to contact these people? You can start having it tell you exactly what it is that you would have to do so that you can take the next step and the next step. Again, I don't think that it's like the end all be all. Like, I don't think it's going to like do the work for you or that it's going to clear up everything. But I do think that it gives you such a leap, like head start in thinking about your own career and thinking about what else is possible and giving you ideas. And so if you're open to using it, I think it is absolutely helpful. I wouldn't be scared about using it. And I do think that like the reality of it is that this is where everything is going very quickly. And I know that like if you refuse to learn it, it will ultimately hinder you because other people will know how to use it. And so I think part of it is just getting yourself acclimated a little bit with like understanding it a little bit more. So maybe you're not as afraid of it and you can really understand how much you can use it in your life. I recommend it to everybody. Again, if you're like morally opposed to using it, that's totally fine. But otherwise, I would get in there and I would play with it a little bit and I would use these kind of prompts to start getting the ideas going and start figuring out what you want to do and make your life easier. All right, my friends, that was all I had for you today. I hope that was helpful. I know I'm going to be playing more with it, and in my community, I'm going to be giving more prompts and stuff and helping people kind of figure out how they can best use it. I will try to give more here as well if you like this kind of content. And I will be back next week for another episode.